Hello and welcome. I am so delighted to have you here tonight. It's great that you guys are interested in this topic of becoming consistent parents because it's such a hard one and such an important one too. So before we get started, do feel free to introduce yourself to me, and you can do that in your chat box, which is down in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. You can introduce yourself to everybody by going to all or public participants, or you can introduce yourself just to me. But I'd love to hear about who you are, who your kids are, and what you're hoping to get out of tonight, maybe. So, be the rock that your children can count on. That's really what we're wanting to develop tonight, is that consistency muscle that allows our children to absolutely trust that we will follow through on the good stuff and on the clear expectations that may be teaching them something that they don't really want to learn. I am Elizabeth Stitt. Joyful Parenting Coaching is my baby, and my mission is to help you as a parent be confident and relaxed and to really enjoy parenting and to love your kids and to love every moment with them as much as you can, give or take the realities of modern day life and of kids themselves, right? They are going through growing periods, and it's hard. It's hard for us when things aren't easy for them. Okay, we've got a lot to cover tonight, so I'm going to jump right in. So, to the extent that you want to introduce yourself and put yourself out there, what your name is, or who your kids are, or what their genders are, everybody else, I'm expecting confidentiality. So you're not going to get off the webinar tonight and say, "Oh, so-and-so from so-and-so, I think that was my friend Betty from South Carolina." That we want to maintain confidentiality even in our cyber world space here. And again, the other aspect is you are welcome to make comments or to ask questions during the presentation through the chat box, but I would expect that you be respectful if somebody brings up something that is different from the way you do things. If I have learned nothing from 25 years of teaching, I have learned that within the bell curve of what makes effective parenting, there's a very wide range of parenting behavior that can be great for kids, right? On the outlying sides, you've got abuse and you have neglect. That obviously is not okay. But within that sort of general bell curve, there is so much which is personal, so much about culture. So please be respectful of each other. I know you will be. Okay, so let's start with this idea of why is consistency important? We hear it all the time, right? Parenting professionals, articles will say, be consistent, follow through. But did you ever wonder what it really gives to your kids? What they're getting out of it? It's really the way that you are teaching them to trust the world. So every time your baby cried and you went and you picked her up and you responded to her and you were loving, she trusted this relationship. And that trust enabled her to build on the world and to go and to be able to not just focus her interest and her attention on you, wondering what you were going to do. That wasn't something she needed to be fearful for because you were there for her. And that enabled her to look out around the world and to grow and to do things. So consistency is about maintaining that security and trust and building that foundation for students that enables them to go out and explore the world. The other thing that it does is it helps them with the self-regulation piece, right? A child having a temper tantrum is a dysregulated child. Out of control. That doesn't feel good to the child. The child wants to be able to self-regulate, wants to be able to know that the world is going to be okay and that he can keep his own behavior in check. Because it's scary to be out of control. I don't know if you feel that way, but I know that when I get out of control, it's because every other measure of patience has been worn and I am absolutely at my wit's end. And that's a really scary place to be. So let's help our kids learn to self-regulate by teaching them to trust us and be consistent. So if you haven't been a super consistent parent, if you are the marshmallow of your household, that's okay. Don't worry. We are going to build things in small baby steps. And the first step is to make sure that your yes means yes. So that means every time that a child asks, Mom, may we do X, Y, or Z? And you say yes, you are going to make sure that X, Y, or Z happens. Now, if you don't have to say yes, you can say no if it's not something that you want to do. Or you can always say maybe. But if your kid is a kid who assumes that maybe means yes, I would always start with, no, I don't think so. Well, we'll see. And be very clear that the we'll see means I haven't thought this through yet. I haven't taken everything into consideration. I need to do that. And what I always do that in this regard is if I'm not ready to give a yes answer and they're still niggling or they're still picking at me, I just look at them and I say, if you need an answer right now, the answer is no. And that gives me a little bit of leeway to go away and to think, because I don't want to say yes to something. That's our chime that says somebody's joined us. Thank you. I don't want to say yes to somebody, to a child, and then not follow through. So my job is to find the things that I can say yes to. Okay, so here's the fun part. When you're just learning how to be consistent, I want you to make promises, and then I want you to keep them. And they could be little promises like, help me get cleaned up here, and I will make cookies after dinner. Or, bedtime goes smoothly, you'll have another chapter at bed when we read tonight. Or it could even be something bigger, like, it doesn't even have to be an if at this stage. You can just offer it. You can just say, Friday night, we're going to sit on this couch, all of us together, and we're going to make popcorn, and we're going to have a movie. And then build it up, right? Let's say this is Wednesday night, and you're building it up. Tomorrow morning they wake up. You know what, kids? Tomorrow night we're going to watch a movie, and we're going to sit, and we're going to have popcorn, and it's going to be great. And then, comes Thursday night, you're going through things, what happened today, what's going to happen tomorrow, and say, and I'm so looking forward to doing that. So you're building something that you are giving them, and most important piece of this is that it's something together with you. And you're going to say yes to it, and come hell or high water, you are going to follow through on your yes, because that really gives you a chance to do it. Even before this, one other way that you can build the yes and build the trust without them even knowing, this is my secret sneaky trick, is to start noticing when they're doing things well. Start noticing what they're doing that you like, right? Like, you're sitting really quietly in that chair. That shows that you're being safe. And then you go on. Or, you brought your dish to the counter. I appreciate that. That's super, right? You're just going to notice the stuff that they're doing that you like. And if possible, see if you can ignore some of the stuff that you don't like. But that's not part of this step right now. Noticing things that you like and making promises of good stuff and keeping them. Now, here's where you can begin to build in this expectation of their cooperation and their help. This is the next step. Let's say now that you said before, whatever, let's say we're outside and we are raking the leaves, or that you want to go outside and get the leaves raked before the sun goes down. And you say to your kids who are sitting around playing, lying around, doing nothing, you say, hey kids, I'm going to go outside and rake the leaves. If you want to come with me and help, and we get done by 5:30, I will still have 15 minutes to play bananagrams before I have to start making dinner. So you've made the offer. Now you're completely nonchalant. Okay, now the trick is you've made the offer, you've been excited about it, but you don't nag, you don't wait for them, you don't anything else. You walk out the door, you pick up your rake, you start raking up your leaves. If they come out and they start helping you with the leaves, and in fact, you get done by 5:30. Awesome! That's great. You say, oh, I'm so glad we get to play Bananagrams or Candyland or whatever it is in your house. You set the timer for 15 minutes. You are there 100%. You don't run away and do something else. You don't quick put the laundry into the dryer. You're there. You play 100%. When that timer goes off, you go and do what you said. You're going to make dinner. Now, let's say you've made your announcement. Hey, kids, if we can get this done, we'll be able to play Bananagrams. You go outside, you're picking up the leaves, and they don't appear. Or they appear and they start climbing in the treehouse or start digging in the dirt or doing something else. Not to worry. Right now, all we're doing is building trust, right? You haven't made this an expectation that they have to follow through on. So this isn't something that can become a discipline issue. This is something where you are showing them that if they do what you ask them to do, you will give them something great, like yourself, your own sweet self, your attention. If they participate, great. But if they don't, you're not going to say anything, right? And then you've got all the leaves picked up and you go up inside. You don't say anything to them. You say, I'm going to go cook dinner. So, but Mom, you said we could play Bananagrams. You go, oh, yeah, but we didn't get done by 5:30. You guys didn't help me. Next time, totally nonchalant, totally relaxed, right? Cheerful. It's not a problem. You don't mind that they didn't help you. You go in and you start cooking dinner. So how long should you do this? It kind of depends. It depends how hard it is for you. If you feel like you do this kind of stuff all the time anyway, then you can go through this stage pretty quickly. And you can weave it in with the next steps. If you actually find it pretty hard to make a plan for something that's really fun and positive and to follow through, then practice it. Or, okay, so I have to admit, I kind of get resentful when my kids don't help me, right? Even when I've put it as, if you help me, then I can do this. Even if it's an adult task, I do. I kind of get resentful. I kind of hate the fact that they're sitting around playing while I'm out there working. But for this purpose, I have to resist that. Because what I'm trying to do is to set up this positive association with being cooperative and jumping right in and helping with stuff in the family. And if I show my resentment or my irritation or even my disappointment that they didn't jump in and help, then it becomes a guilt trip thing and it's not going to work the same way. Okay, so those were our first two steps. First, keeping promises that we do for fun things. Two, kind of doing this little relationship of offering yourself, offering the fun if they come along and they help you, not worrying about it if they don't. Okay, so now let's say that we're at that stage where you actually have expectations and you want them to follow through. You're going to ask them to do things and you want them to do them. The first thing I want you to consider is how many rules you have. I want you to figure out your priorities. So at the end of the webinar, or if you're taking notes right now and you're thinking of things, you can do it right now. I want you to list as many of your values as you can. And honestly, don't just think of parenting values. Think of anything. Think of things that you care about. Think of things that you value, right? It could be things like, I don't know, being out in nature or getting lots of physical activity or kindness and generosity or hard work and diligence or persistence or curiosity and creativity. Sometimes values get expressed as a symbol. Like for me, hot tea, warm hot tea. It's like, I get that moments of peace. I get that moment of meditation. I may not finish my mug of tea, but if I can sit down and take those first few sips, it's like pushing my reset button, right? So for me, that mug of hot tea is this value of being present and being in the moment and taking just a moment for that reset, that meditation. So you're going to list as many values as you can. Can you make 75, for example? I know somebody whose list has gotten to 75. But for your purposes for parenting, I then want you to circle your top 5. Now, hopefully you're going to share this with your spouse. Better yet, I hope your spouse is sitting next to you. Each do this separately. So really think from your own heart, right? This is about you, your preferences. That's what's going to go on your value list. And you're going to circle the ones that you think are the top 5. And let your spouse do his or her list. If you're struggling with this, one way you might want to think about it is think of the adult that you want to become, right? So my daughter's 19. She just did an internship this summer, and I got the opportunity to meet her boss, and I went down, and she said, oh, it's been so great working with Julie. She's been boom, 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 boom. And of course, I was happy, and I was proud and pleased, but I wasn't really surprised, because the qualities that she listed are the qualities that I have been training that child for, right? That's what I have been, that's the child that I've been molding. So think, who's the child you want to have at 20, 21, 22 going out into the workforce? If you met your child's boss and the boss said, let me tell you how wonderful it has been to have Johnny around. He is boom, 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 boom. What are the 5 things that you would care about? Okay, so that's where you're going to start. That's how you identify your priorities. Now, let's say you take those priorities and you think about what does that represent in terms of behavior. We're going to connect the value to the behavior. So for our purposes, I chose respect because it's a great umbrella one, and my guess would be that a lot of you might have it on your list, and I wanted to choose something that I thought a lot of people might have. So value, respect. Respecting others, and of course, respect can be respecting property, respecting others, and respecting self. That's one of also the cool things about value is that it gives us a lot of directions to go, but I just chose we're going to respect others. What are some concrete behaviors that would represent that? Ask before taking a turn, ask before taking something, wait your turn. I would say to my children, return whatever it was you took to where it belongs. I don't know how many of you have the problem with scissors in your house. Do your scissors just disappear? My scissors are constantly disappearing. So I would like my children to ask if they can borrow the scissors, well, or have their own scissors, but then put them back. Put them back where they belong, please. That's respectful of me, because then the next time I go for the scissors, they are where I expect them to be. Using I statements to express feelings is a great way of respecting others. And if I statements aren't something you know about, drop me a line and I will explain them to you, because they're a great technique for kids to express their feelings in a peaceful, constructive way. Pick up after yourself. That would be another, right? The same wonderful child who got such high marks from her boss at her internship came home and, started taking food to the couch and had whatever she ate, and she left the bowl there. No thought whatsoever to the fact that she's more than old enough to clean it up. So I hate to say that even though we're training them with some things, they will revert. And maybe that's kind of good sometimes that they get a break, but that's the way that will go. Okay, so we're going to connect values to behavior. I just did another one. Safety is another really big one that we have, right? I can't imagine any one of you lets your child drive down the road without being buckled into that car seat. And again, we're going to try to construct rules or values so that they can be expanded on. So for example, put your bottom down, right? In our family, we're safe. Put your bottom down. And that could be in the chair, in the tub, on the train, on the bus, whatever it is. So that was just another little example. So what you're going to do then is you're going to do what I've done here is after the webinar, you've got your list of values. You've circled your top 5. And then for each 5, you're going to go and you're going to make a list of concrete behaviors that you would want to see in relation to that value. Okay, so you've got your priorities now. The rule about making rules then, and really they're expectations. I don't love calling them rules. It fits on the PowerPoint, so I use rules here. But only make them about the ones that are important to you, right? So especially if you have not been consistent, right? Remember, it's not easy to be consistent, so you don't want to take the whole thing at once. You want to find one small area to be consistent about. So choose the ones that are important, make the rules about that. Make as few rules as possible, right? In our family, we respect others. That could be my one rule. Honestly, I could get really far with that one rule. In fact, that and safety, boy, I would have almost my whole household covered. But then I'm going to make it expandable, right? Because I need the version for now, for my toddler, right? In our family, we are safe. Put your bottom down in that chair. And then I need it for my teenager. In our family, we are safe. You don't drive with other people in the car if they're feeling rowdy, right? You ask them to leave or you call mom or do something. So it has to be the same rule that's going to see them all the way through to adulthood. Okay, more concrete, wait, back up. The more concrete the action, the better, especially for your little guys again, right? So if the rule is, let's say in our family, we help each other. Take your dish and put it in the dishwasher, right? If it's a plastic dish, you can train a 2-year-old to take that dish and to put it in the dishwasher. It's something concrete enough that you can take a picture of her doing it. And you could post it right next to it so that she sees what it looks like. She sees the expectation. You can label it, but if you have the picture for your 2-year-old, whether or not she's verbal yet, she'll see it. That's great. Right? So things like, notice that the rule isn't respect your mother. It's too general. In our family, we respect others. And then I need a follow-up of something concrete. What do I need you to do right now, child, that is going to show respect to me? It could be the one about the scissors, right? In our family, we respect others. When you borrow something, you put it back. Very clear. Let's see, moving on. There we go. So just again, I wanted to say something for a moment about this phrase, in our family, we. I'll tell you why I like it. At the same time that you are disciplining the child, right? And every time you discipline a child, they feel a little bit more distant from you and a little bit disconnected. And that feels uncomfortable. And that's okay if they're not doing something they need to do. It's okay that they learn how to do it. But it never feels great to be corrected, right? I mean, when your boss comes in and points out something that you're doing wrong, even if you're looking for feedback, it doesn't feel as good as when your boss comes in and says you're doing it right. So in our family, we use this phrase, which at the same time, it points out what's the expectation, what do I need you to be doing? It brings the child into this circle, into this family unit. So that's why I love that phrase. Okay, so now you're saying, okay, so I decided that respect was my value and I have my concrete list of things I want to do. And I've said, in our family, we are safe. Sorry, I'm losing track, but let's use that one. In our family, we are safe. Put your bottom down. And now the child is jumping up and down and jumping up and down and jumping up and down and is not sitting safely, right? So the first thing you're going to do is be cheerfully confident and expect the behavior. And again, you might be saying, Elizabeth, this is ridiculous. It doesn't work to just be cheerfully confident. Well, have you trained a dog? Because what I learned in training dogs was some of the most valuable information about how to use my body in a way that gets the dog to do things and which gets kids to do things. So I had a dog before I had a child, and it took forever and a day for me to learn how to train the dog, which really means it took forever for the trainer to train me. But once you get that, you say to the dog, sit, and the dog sits, right? You're cheerfully confident. Everything about your body is saying, I expect you to do what this is going to do. You're not like, sit, or you're not over at the stove not paying attention, but leaning over your shoulder going, sit, right? You're paying attention to the dog. You're looking. So same thing with a child, right? When you give a command, you're going to look at the child, say cheerfully, in our house we're safe, put your bottom down. Okay? They don't do it, right? Now you're going to come and you're going to close and you're going to get quiet. In our family, we're safe. Put your bottom in the chair. And you can help them do it, right? Little pressure on the shoulder to help them do it. And you're going to repeat the rule softly. Now, again, you might be going, right, Elizabeth, you're nuts. What's going to happen now? All right, we will go into that. But before we do, I just don't want you to give up on this idea that the way that you carry yourself can have a great deal to actually getting your kids to follow through, right? So if it's time to start homework and you're wanting them to do homework and your whole affect in your body is, I hate homework and I hate having to ask you to do it and it's so resentful and I haven't had any time for myself yet and I shouldn't have to ask you to do this a million times, right? If that's the way you're feeling and that's what comes across, they're going to get grumpy right away. Right away, you're going to get a grumpy face. And whatever natural inclination they had to kind of move that direction is going to just sort of automatically shut down. So please don't discount Cheerfully Confident. Give it a try. And if it doesn't work, let's go and look and see what else we can do. Just to demonstrate, I like these pictures because when you're getting close and you're getting quiet, notice how close, notice parents aren't angry, right? They're just giving information. And I like the way Dad has his hand around his child. This lady down in the corner, she looks like maybe she has her hand, right? So physical contact is great if that works for your child, if they respond to it. But you are going to have this gentle affect, right? Which is cheerful and doing your very, very, very best, no matter how tired you are, not to be super cranky about it. It will help. Okay, so will it always work using your body this way? No, of course not. It will not always work. Parenting is about having an enormous bag of tricks so that you can keep pulling out the right tool for the right moment for the right child, because you know your kids. You know they're different. You know what will work for one kid won't work for the other kid. Okay, so 3 techniques I'd like to offer you for your tool bag: offering choice, allowing for the tantrum, and priming the pump. Let's cover those a little bit. Okay, so let's say that we have the child who won't sit down, it's jumping up and down. You need him to eat his dinner, you need him to do something. Sweetie, you have a choice. You may follow the rule now and sit down and eat your dinner. Or you may, and then you're going to ask for whatever it is, right? You may stand up by your chair and wait for the rest of us to eat dinner. Or you may go. Clearly, you need to jump up and down. You may go stand outside the. I have a sliding glass door by my kitchen table, right? Zoop. You can go stand on the patio and jump up and down. You're obviously a wiggle worm. But you're going to need to come back and sit before whatever is the next thing that they might want to do. And this is the trick. It can't be before you do your homework, before you brush your teeth, before you do something that they don't want to do, right? You have to offer them something that they do want to do in order for that to work. If you're in a position to give them the choice, that very often will do the trick. And sometimes it is as simple as they need to get outside and jump a little bit, right? And you can divert it and make it fun. Hey, are you jumping? Are you having a good time jumping? Okay. Did you get all those jumps out? Are you choosing to come back and sit down on your chair? Okay. Great. Right? You had a need. We got that fixed. Now you can sit down and eat your dinner. If not, if there's still going to be a lot of silliness, then you're going to keep your limit. You're going to still stand by the fact that you're going to sit in your chair and eat quietly before the next thing gets to happen. All right. Allowing for the tantrum. I know that some of you guys are thinking, again, lady, you're nuts. Why would you encourage your child to have a tantrum? Well, here's the latest thinking on tantrums. Sometimes a child is deliberately pushing your buttons because they need the tantrum. So it's like a storm. All day long, the storm clouds have been gathering, and the pressure has been building up, right? The humidity's been rising. You get that feeling in the air. It's getting heavy. You know that the storm is going to come. And I don't know about you, but I usually find myself getting tense as well, right? As if that atmospheric pressure is pushing down on me. And then the storm happens, and it's glorious. And afterwards, it's fresh and smooth and calm. So let's pretend that that external stuff is going on with your child, right? Things that you haven't seen all day have been building up. Or maybe some slight that they've been carrying with them, right? Maybe you were sharp with them in the morning, right? They wanted to wear the pink shirt and you had the black shirt out, and there was going to be something about it and you were like, look, just put it on. And they did. At that point, they could keep it together. They had enough. They just slept. They could self-regulate enough to put on the shirt that you handed them. But there was that little hurt left over, that little sense of, I got shut down. And they've been carrying that around. Or maybe something happened with a friend at school. And now all that tension is in their body, and they need a way to release it. And they know that a great way to release it instinctively is to have a crying session. So they're going to push you right where you know that you're going to hold the line, because that's where they can push and know that you're not going to give in. Because if you give in, it doesn't work, right? They've pushed for nothing. But if they push and you hold the line, they can get really mad about that and have that tantrum. And then you can deal with that, right? You're going to hold the limit. This is the expectation. You're going to stay physically close if your child will allow it. I know some kids, I've had kids at school who, don't even be within my proximity. You need to be like 3 feet away from me, right? But some kids can get that calm down feeling, right? If you can get them, get behind them, keep their legs and their arms from wiggling, and offer a ton of empathy. You know it doesn't feel good to have the tantrum. You know that if they have gotten to a point where they have so much tension inside them that they need to have this tantrum, they're just not feeling great. So you offer the empathy. I know, sweetie. I know you are really frustrated about this. You really wish it was different somehow. If you can name the emotions, that's great. Of course, I was an English teacher, so I love vocabulary. And I read the study that said that you could increase children's emotional range and their emotional sophistication by giving them the words for it, right? Because if I only have I'm mad, then how do you talk them down? But if you have I'm furious, I'm mad, I'm annoyed, I'm grumpy, right? You can help them see where they are on their scale, and it gives them a sense. Are you really mad? Or are you just feeling annoyed? Oh, well, I guess I'm just feeling annoyed. Especially by the time you get to middle school, right? Or even those middle years, right? You might have a child who is just naturally grumpy in the morning. But if they walk into the kitchen and they're grumpy and you say, what are you mad about? Their reaction, instead of thinking, like mom cares about me, is going to be, you don't even know me. I'm not mad, right? But if you've been working on if all along since they were little, you've been building up emotional vocabulary, and you know that what they are is being grumpy. And by the way, if you have a kid who is grumpy in the morning, that might be their personality, right? I'm a morning person. My daughter is a night owl. By 9 o'clock, I'm pretty useless. We're really pushing it here for me, right? For me to be up and awake and alert at this time is really pushing it. Don't ask me to do something I don't want to do. I will get very grumpy. And my daughter used to call me the grouchy ladybug. And we just made agreement. She could be grumpy in the morning and like any stuff that she does before 9 a.m., water off my back. I just chalk it up to morning grumpiness. And she knows, and like as she got into high school and she needed help with homework, she knew that if she needed my help, she better warn me so that I could fortify myself to have that extra energy to be available for her after 9 o'clock, because that was torture for me. That was really hard for me. So naming emotions and getting to know your kids. And then I got off on the sidekick of knowing their temperaments about when they are. So to some degree, if their emotions are going like this, but you can see what time of day it is, that might help you to separate a little bit. Okay, offering reassurance. The reassurance that you want to offer, especially your little guys, and then again your adolescents, is that this will get easier. You won't always feel this way. So a 2 or a 3-year-old doesn't want to feel bad, right? 2, 3, 4-year-old doesn't want to feel bad. And all of a sudden they do. And that's scary to them. And it happens again with your teenagers. And even though at some point I hope you have sat down and you've explained to them that their bodies are changing and that hormones are going to be releasing and that they will have mood swings because of their hormones release, they're teenagers. That means they assume that none of this stuff applies to them personally because they are invincible, right? So if you have a 12-year-old who's grumpy or who's upset about things or who all of a sudden snaps at you and then bursts into tears, it's because that poor darling she wasn't self-regulating, right? And she didn't know she was getting upset. And then a hormone washes in and has her, boom, enraged at you. And her logical mind, what's left of it, with a little piece of frontal cortex working, is saying, oh my gosh, I just snapped at my mom. That was totally overboard. That was totally inappropriate. And she doesn't know why her body is betraying her that way. So great time reminder. Hey, hun, you know what? This is natural. This happens all the time. Children's bodies change, and as they change, they take a while to regulate. It will get better. You won't always feel this way. So that's offering the reassurance. And then the last thing that you need to do is to follow through on the limit. And my experience is that once they've had that storm, and they've had all that storm and drum, and there's been rain and thunder and lightning and everything else, then they're kind of spent. By that time, it's pretty easy to just put them on the table and to get some food into them, or to walk them down the hall and start brushing their teeth, whatever it is, right? They're sort of emotionally limp at that point, and they're ready to kind of be suggested to go on. Okay, moving right along. So this is one of my favorites. If you've seen a problem building or going on for a while, and you think that you're going to need to give a child a consequence, announce it up front and give them the opportunity to think through, right? So, sweetie, you have been having a really hard time speaking respectfully to your brother. I know it's hard, but I expect you to express your feelings calmly. And I'm here to help. And if you feel yourself getting mad, we can make a plan. And right at that moment, you could make a plan. Do you have any ideas what you could do? What could we do when you're getting mad? And maybe they'll have a great plan, or maybe you'll suggest, could you go stand outside and take a deep breath? Could you come over and give me the look? And then you guys can have a fun time practicing the look, like, right? Not that the brother sees it, just mom. And then you could know, oh, I know exactly what you're feeling, right? And just that acknowledgement of the feelings might be enough. So you're going to make a plan in advance with the clear expectation that you will be kind to your brother. You will speak respectfully. And then in advance, you're going to announce what's going to happen, right? If you choose not to be respectful, or if you choose not to get help and are disrespectful, you will be writing a 5-sentence paragraph on why being respectful is good for our family. Or if it's with a little guy, you will be giving me 2 reasons why we speak kindly to each other in this family and how that helps us be a great family. whatever it is. And it's not what you give, it's the announcing it ahead of time. And then that last phrase there, sweetie, it's your choice. So when you have those feelings coming up, and you're getting annoyed with your brother, it's your choice. You're going to put the plan into place, or you're going to come get some help. If not, then we'll be talking and writing about respect. So you're not getting upset, you're not getting emotional. You're going to have this conversation sometime when it's cozy and snuggly and you're having a nice time, hopefully, and it's well ahead of time. And with your older kids, sometimes it's just enough to say, I see that you guys have been having a problem with X, Y, or Z. Or as I reflect back over the week, maybe you're having a family meeting. I love family meetings, by the way. Maybe you're having a family meeting. You're saying, you know, guys, as I reflect back over the week, I heard a lot of yelling and door slamming in this house, and that's a problem for me. And but I know that now that you're aware of it, you will figure out what needs to be done. And with older kids, it can be enough to do that. Put it back on them, let them figure it out. If the next week nothing has happened, then you can go through a more formal process. But priming the front could be a great way to do it. Okay, let's see. Come on, little slide. Okay, so what if it just feels like, oh, now we're going out of control? Yeah, what if it just feels like your kid is being manipulative, right? That you've done everything that you should do as a parent. They've been fed, they have had enough playtime, you haven't been a complete witch yourself, and you've been cheerfully confident, you've stated an expectation clearly, and they're still whining, complaining, crying, doing whatever it is. If they've really persisted, and they continue to persist even after some weeks of following through, it's because what they've been doing works. The crying and the complaining and the stalling has worked in the past, right? And that could leave you feeling terrible. That could leave you either like, oh my God, I'm a horrible mother, this is all my fault. Or it could make you just like going, okay, these are alien children, where did they come from? Because man, are they rats and are they out of control? But whatever it is, you are the adult and you are the one who can take steps to begin to put it back together again. So I invite you to be a part of my fall coaching program, 3 Steps to Effective Parenting. You can see, for me, the basics are the clarity, that's the values and the priorities. The connection, we didn't talk too much about connection, and I'll just say this. It sort of has to be equal. For as much as you demand of your child, they need to feel safe and connected and warm and loving. So if it gets out of balance, right, if everything feels like yelling and screaming and demanding and telling the child what to do, they feel very insecure, because if you have given them a ton of that one-on-one time, you've noticed good things that they're doing, you've been happy and cheerful, then you can ask a lot more of them. So that's the way those kind of pieces sort of fit in together. Technology. See, you can tell it's after 9 o'clock because I'm nothing is working for me anymore. Let's see. Let me be your rock, so you can be your kids' rocks, right? So you'll get the goals and priorities, you'll get connected to your kids, you'll build that parenting muscle bit by bit. It's just like going to the gym. It really is. It's not that you expect to run a marathon at the end or right at the beginning when you go in. You want to build it up mile by mile, push up by push up, right? Bench press by bench press. And you want to put it together with confidence. Parenting is a confidence game, right? We are the ultimate con men when it comes to our kids. We want to convince them that we are in control, that we know what's good for them, that everything's going to be all right, and then they're going to follow right along, no matter how we're feeling. If we can convince them, it's good enough. Let's see if I can go here. So here are the hard details. The session is 6 training sessions as a group, where I go through concepts and go through concrete tips and concrete examples. And in between, we do one-on-one sessions. And those are what enable you to ask me your own questions, to say, okay, I hear what you're saying about this, but Elizabeth, you don't know what's going on in my house. So that would be our opportunity to fine-tune things and to say what's going on there. Your questions get answered. And also, the group, Facebook group, separate from my Joyful Parenting Facebook page. It would just be a 3 Steps to Effective Parenting Facebook group. What I think is important about that, and what I think is great about doing something together as a class, is one of the reasons I became a parenting coach. Is in 25 years of teaching, I felt like parents got more and more anxious, and one of the reasons was that they were more and more disconnected. So talking to a parent, she was upset her daughter was coming home crying every day, and I said, well, what are you getting from the other parents when you ask them? What's going on with their kids? She looked at me like, maybe you're nuts, Mrs. Stitt, you don't get it. You can't talk to other parents about that stuff, right? You can say the good things that happened, but you can't say the bad stuff. And I personally think it's because we don't have the time, right? We see each other in the parking lot, maybe it's a happy, polite wave. Maybe we Zoom into the PTA meeting and then we're running off to our own meeting. And so we have 2 minutes to go kiss, kiss, hello, hello. And, oh, I saw Johnny on the soccer field last week. Yes, he made a goal. Wasn't that wonderful? That doesn't do the job for us of unburdening our upset and our issues and our frustration with our kids. And I bet maybe you think that the stuff that's going on in your house doesn't go on in those other houses. Well, I'm here to tell you it does. Absolutely. Okay, so the program is $350. That's an awesome deal. That's basically the price of the coaching with the classes thrown in. But if you sign up by Friday, August 14th, today's Wednesday, so if you sign up at the end of the day on Friday, I'll knock $50 off just for you being quick about jumping on the bandwagon and for joining me and being a part of what we are doing here tonight. I would love to have you this fall. I think that having enough people gives groups energy, and it gives us that chance to really share stories and to see. First of all, I think it gives you a chance to go, because very often we can look at somebody else's problem and go, I have an idea for that, or, oh yeah, that happened to me too, and this is what I tried. And when it gets down to it, a lot of what parenting is taking the tool out of the toolbox and seeing, does it fit, does it work? Oops, I need another tool, I need another idea. And what I love about a group class is that we can do all of that for each other. Okay, review slide is here. I will send out the copy of the recording. So if you want to take a screenshot of this one and print it up so that you kind of know what your program is for yourself in being a consistent parent. Sometimes it's great to have visuals for the kids. I don't know, I found as a teacher for myself, I needed to have visuals for myself sometimes too. And of course, keep calm and carry on. That's a good one. Keep calm and parent on. And if you have any other questions about what we've done here tonight or about the coaching program or any other way that I can be of service to you, I would love to be. I am so grateful to get to serve families and yeah, be a part of things and to have you guys be a part of things. So that's the end. All I need to do now is to find the button that says that I'm going to end the recording. But that's the end for you. Good night and thank you.